Also, you can ask questions on any of the speakers that have been on the podium. Now is your chance. 1, 2, 3, go. Hands, please. Roving mics. I see the hand there. That's number 1. Hand. Question time. Hands. Okay. Number 2. Is that the second hand? All right, let's go.
Sanbon. My question is regarding to the LG SETA.
Please tell us who the question is for so that the roving mic can be going there while you're asking the question.
It's for the CEO of LG SETA.
Mr. Muleti.
Yes. Regarding the funding of students, if they didn't fund you during your first year till your doctorate, he said, are they able to fund advanced diplomas to actually honors for other specializations like disaster management, as some of us are not doing accounting and everything else, we're disaster practitioners. Thank you.
Right, may I ask you to just say that again, your name please, and the municipality you come from, not necessarily the question. And can I just ask you to speak up a bit?
That's on.
Igama uSindiso Ngawamajola. I come from the Durban University of Technology and I'm doing disaster risk management.
Thank you. Okay, let me have the next question.
I'm Adelia Koch from Durban University of Technology, studying public management. My question is directed to Ms. Faith Nyaka. My question is, how effective has the national framework towards professionalizing the public sector been since its introduction in October 2022? And has there been any effective, sufficient, and relevant skills development programs towards professionalization that has been implemented yet?
Okay, thank you. By the way, Ms. Nyaka has just left. Is she coming back? Okay, Mr. Langa will respond to your question. Any other question? 2 last questions before we go. You're going to be number 3. Please, can I have the roving mic? Last question this side. Last question this side. All right, Temkosi. Is there a hand I'm missing? Is there a hand I'm missing? You'll be number 4, and that's the last question. Go ahead, Temkosi.
My name is Temkosi Mkize. I'm an honors in management accounting graduate. I'm here on behalf of Abasa KZN student chapter.
Abasa.
Yes.
Right.
So the question I have is mainly directed to professionals that were working in the private sector. So I think it was CIGFARO, if I'm not mistaken, that released the article about how black CAs were kind of really unhappy during their tenure in the private sector in regards to being left out of meetings and feeling like, they were marginalized throughout their articles. So I just wanted to ask, for us who are basically young professionals, how do we now navigate those spaces? How do we deal with the challenges of maybe feeling like we are marginalized or maybe being a minority? How do we tackle that?
Thank you. Let me take the last question and then allow the speakers to respond. I'll start with you, Mr. Muleti. Your name, surname, tell us if you are married, and sorry, I'm joking. I said that because I could see the ring, by the way.
Oh, sorry about that. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Lindy Lemguni from eThekwini Municipality. Mm-hmm. I've got 2 questions, actually. One for the CEO of the LG SETA. So at the municipality, we've got both psycho trainees and we also have MFMP interns that we take. And one of the challenges that we have is that some of them want to study, but due to our policies, because they're only there for 3 years, we aren't able to fund them. And I heard the CEO talking about funding for interns. So if maybe he could connect us to the right people, so that we could be able to apply for funding for them also to study while they're with us for the 3 years of their internship. And then also to Mr. Langa. So we find that at the municipality, we've got some people that have been there for a long time. Some of them have come through with just diplomas and with the intention of professionalizing the environment in which we work. Some of them don't always have all the opportunities to go into internships and to go into like psycho programs like how we do for the younger ones. And so I was just thinking in terms of trying to professionalize them. I know there's CIGFARO, but maybe if there could be more programs that keep them updated and just to also get them to have the right skills that are required for promotion, because you find that they end up being stuck at lower levels as like clerks, and they don't have all the necessary skills to be able to be promoted.
All right.
Thanks.
Thank you. So what we're going to do, Mr. Molete, we're going to allow you to respond, and then we're going to do the vote of thanks for you to be able to proceed to your next meeting, and then we're going to continue with more questions. Roving mic off.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. And I'm disappointed at the number of questions. You've called the CEO to be here, and you are not using the opportunity, because who knows? I mean, with the authority that I have, I would have committed certain things here, just on a high. So,
Yeah.
on a lighter note, Ms. Majola, thanks for your question. We, like I said, I mean, the presentation, and please, that is if you can make sure that you share the presentation, because on hindsight, I did not go through each and every slide of how you can access bursaries, internships, and any professional development related funding that because we do fund symposiums like this. In future, I want to see LGCTA covered. They will pay to be in the marketing of an event like this. So,
CEO, can I just disturb you? Can I just ask you to come to the front already? On this seat, please. Mr. Langa, Mr. Kwala, please. I think Ms. Nyaga has already left.
okay.
Okay, let's just occupy these seats already. We're already there. So please do go ahead, Mr.
Okay, so we do fund municipalities. There's people called skills development facilitators in each and every municipality. And we've got what we call quarterly skills development forums. I know outside the manager, you'll see LGCTA is exhibiting outside. The manager for the province, Mr. Zipoma Zibuku, is there. So there's consistent interactions with skills development facilitators who are the bridge between municipalities and local government city. Because you can imagine, if anybody wants to apply, it won't be a coordinated process. So the office, my office manager is here, out there. They can take your particulars. But also, I want to challenge you, CIGFARO, I don't have any partnership or collaboration with your good self. SAIGA, I do have. SAIGA, I do have. I'm challenging CIGFARO now that we collaborate. If and when it fails through your municipalities, you are members of CIGFARO, let's collaborate in that. We are here to make sure that we deal with the pressing issues that we are faced with. And I want to extend an arm and say that I'm willing that we can sign on the dotted line from my good self within my authority that we can help with that type of bursaries.
All right.
And then there's I think the second question from O Kabazela. around training in municipalities. I think Saika is here. I do have, there's what you call candidacy, the candidacy program that I know we've about 110 beneficiaries, wherein basically we fund for you to be a CA, SLG SETA. What is important to remember is that you must have an employer that you are attached to, where you can do practicals, where we can measure your competence and work assessments and summative assessments, so that tomorrow an appropriate authority or body like SAICA can confer if you write board exam or any form of assessment that they do have. But we do support and we do pay for those type of intervention. And I'm saying also that SAICA, if you feel that the current partnership that we are having is not yielding any positive results to this part of the world, again, my details are not far. Mr. Zago has got my cell number, he's got my email address, he's got the executive assistant and office manager's details. Let's collaborate and make sure that we do that. We are in the business of nurturing the various fields, especially the finance. Remember, I spoke about the 9 key municipal service areas. I spoke about water, sanitation, electricity, roads, transport, infrastructure, planning, disaster. Disaster is there. Waste, revenue, collection, local economic development. Those are the 9 key municipal service areas that you get in what we call the Municipal Structural Act. So we also have 5 priorities in our strategy. The priority number 1 is around leadership. We want leaders from administration and political. So we also have a councillor development program. We fund councillors for their development. We fund emerging. I mean, we've just approved a program for women in leadership in local government. Because the unfortunate part in local government is that you find a mayor is a male, you find that an MM is a male, you find that the chief whip or a speaker is a male. So we are trying to say, let's be intentional so that we have women in leadership. So go and check with your municipalities. We've approved about 300. If and when again, and that I know that politics will suppress and marginalize the young people. Let's collaborate. I'll give you 20 from that 300 as CIGFARO for young people so that we are intentional, because you see the dichotomy of leadership and management are 2 different animals. Yes. And we have to be intentional of what type of leaders, the same way that SAICA is saying, what type of an accountant for the future do they want? So we mustn't be afraid of saying, this is the type of a mayor, this is the type of municipal manager, this is the type of speaker that we want. And that's what that program is about. So we do disasters because you would know that we are prone to disasters. I mean, I've been in KZN more than 2 times, Eastern Cape more than 3 times. Also bringing other social partners, just also to help from our own pockets and the employees that I lead, just to assist with those destitute. So we are prone and we are leaders that are on the ground. And I can say more, but I think I've addressed some of these issues. Thanks.
I thought that the ladies in the house are going to be excited about what the CEO is saying. Ipimbogoto. So let's do the goodbyes with the CEO, Mr. Molete, so that we can allow him to be on his way. Hey, Zulu speakers, qinile ulimi. Asithini muliti. Ngicela sithi muliti. Muliti, nayi molete, muliti. One more time. Mr. Muliti. Thank you. A round of applause. All right. Let's continue, Mr. Dlanga, take it away.
Thank you, sir. I think my question, even though it was addressed to me by the colleague from eThekwini municipality around how do we ensure that we provide training opportunities and professionalize the people that are outside of these two programs, the internship program has slightly been addressed by the CFO, by the CEO. I'm saying this because by nature, SETAs are meant to provide training and funding for development, for training and development for all employees, whether they are interns or they are permanent employees in a specific municipality. As long as you are a levy-paying institution to that specific SETA. It's rather unfortunate that I'm raising this when he is not around. But if you follow that Skills Development Act, it says that all institutions, whether private or public, must pay at least 1% of their skills of the total payroll towards skills development. Which means if you are paying 500 million as your cost of employment, at least 1% should go towards skills development to your relevant SETA. So in this case being local government SETA. Now for those people that are not benefiting from these two programs, your internship and your minimum competency regulations programs, then there's an opportunity to upskill them through your SETAs. There's something that SETAs will always do every April and August of every financial year. They will open what is called a discretionary grant funding opportunity. So the responsibility of your skills development facilitator is to then access those funding opportunities to the SETAs to write proposals. Also in between the year, the SETA Act requires them to then requires all skills development facilitators to do what is called a workplace skills assessment, which means your responsibilities as SDFs, over and above managing the internship program and these other sub-programs, is to conduct a skills assessment of what is required in a municipality. So that when funding opportunities are opened by the relevant SETA and you realize that your coffers are not sufficient, you are able to access these funds. I'm not going to lie about this thing. Even National Treasury will always go to the SETAs. There are programs that we are running for municipalities. When we realize that our funds are not enough, we go to SETAs and ask for money. Just 2 years ago, we rolled out a training program where we trained 300 officials in Northern Cape and in Northwest on the accounting technician for employed officials. There, our pressing issue was Northern Cape is a rural province. It's a vast province. Their budget, if you look at municipalities like your Kara Hayes and all those other municipalities, they won't be able to finance those training programs. So we then say, SETAs, please support us in this particular funding. Now, on our side, what do we do as the National Treasury in ensuring that we identify these pockets that require funding support? We've got a program called the iDevelop Competency Assessment. So we are planning to roll it out nationwide. We have started in a municipality, funny enough, here in KZN. I think on your way just after this toll gate, Umvoti, I just forgot the name, Ilembe municipality, Ilembe. So we've done a competency skills assessment of the BTO's office where we are trying to match the skills levels of the officials that are in the BTO's office against the competencies that we've defined in our framework. And the results of those then give us a picture of where the skills gaps are and the interventions that we can provide, so that we go to LG SETA or FACET or to PSETA with a suitcase of what we're actually requiring from them. So as the homework that I'm giving you now as a skills development facilitator is that you have to then do what is called a workplace skills assessment, where all officials, as they complete their individual performance agreements, they have to indicate their skills level or their skills deficiencies, so that you've got an informed report that says, of all officials in this municipality, these are the skills gaps that are required. Then I can go to LGCTA or FACET or PCTA to request funding for those particular programs. Then the second issue, although it's not mine, I think I feel I'm competent enough to actually address it. The issue of SICA trainees versus policies and other officials, I think it was addressed by one of the colleagues as well. I think, again, my response to it is the same. SETAs are there to actually assist for skills development. The whole point of establishing SETAs in 1998 was to ensure that skills development is financed by them, wherever there are shortfalls or deficiencies in budgets. The last question was related to Ms. Mnyaka. I've traversed this journey with her, so I think I can give it a stab. How effective has the program since its launch?
Right.
Yeah. So the picture that I'm going to paint is slightly bleak, but there's two reasons why. National School of Government developed the professionalization framework. It was then signed off by Cabinet. In the sign-off, there was a decision that said there must then be an implementation plan that will guide departments on how to approach this professionalization framework. The first thing that was done was to approach the Office of the Public Service Commission to develop this framework or the implementation plan. It is now there, it is ready to be implemented. We are now at the pilot stage of this framework. There are 3 departments that had been identified as pilot sites. One of them was the DPSA as the mother body on HR. How do you professionalize HR? Now, we are in the first year of the implementation stage of that particular process. The second process that has taken place was to say the second department that must be professionalized was the National Treasury. By default, when we're saying National Treasury, we're saying Treasury has got a relationship through the intergovernmental relations with all 9 provincial treasuries and also with all CFOs' offices. Now we are implementing that. On the side of the Treasury, we had already been 2 or 3 steps ahead. We had started the Chartered Accountancy Program to develop chartered accountants in the public sector for the public sector and align them to professional bodies, SICA in this case. The second issue that we had done was to say around 2014, we need to develop lower level officials. We started off again, knocking at the door of SICA. There's a professional body within SICA called Accounting Technicians of South Africa, ATSA. In the past, they used to have a relationship with the UK professional body. So what we've done over the past 10 years was to develop and professionalize a good 1,000 or so people as accounting technicians. Now, if you go to all 9 provinces, with the exception of I think, of KZN, we've started with Limpopo when it was under administration. If some of us that were in government at the time, they will recall that there was a situation where provincial treasury in Limpopo was under administration. So we took all officials that did not have qualifications. They had matric with no maths or accounting. We trained them and ensured that they are enrolled and aligned to a professional body. And we then went to Northwest, we trained another 300. Northern Cape, 103. Eastern Cape, a good 87. I think Western Cape, another 117 or so. Again, I'm bringing these statistics because as I've been managing that particular program, hence it's easy for me to relate. And in Mpumalanga as well, we did the same. So we know that in all these provinces, we've got a cohort of professionals in accounting that are aligned to the accounting technician professional body. Another process that we've taken was to say, we've got people that have B degrees in finance. They are not aligned to any professional body. They are not chartered accountants. They are just merely accountants. So we then knocked at the door of SAIPA, South African Institute of Professional Accountants. Again, the same modus operandi that we did. We enrolled officials over a 3-year program to ensure that come a specific time frame, they will then sit and write the professional exam of SAIPA, so that we're grooming this pool of talent that will become professional accountants in the public sector. Okay. In the internal audit space as well, we did the same thing. We went and trained people to become internal audit technicians. This is something we've done over the last 5 years. So that has been the implementation prior to the sign-off of the document. If I can also reflect on another department, because we sit in these committees and we get to share experiences. You go to Water Affairs, for example. They run a program called the Cadet Program, where they are grooming engineers into the public sector, in the public sector, to become water technicians, to become engineers in that particular department. So that has been the implementation pathway that we've actually undertaken on this particular process. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Program Chair, Program Director. I don't think mine is going to be too long.
I'm happy with Program Chair.
So, yes, Lal. I think the question I think my colleague has covered a lot of the questions. The one that was not covered is on, I think it was a research report, it was it relates to a PhD that was done by one of the chartered accountants in the country. And it was raising, I think it was some issues regarding the working environment, let's call it. And I think
for black CAs.
For black CAs
Okay.
in predominantly white environments. I think it talks to the dynamics of the working environment, or rather the working environment in those training sectors. If I can share, so there is a response that was issued by SAICA to acknowledge the issue, the challenges that black trainees face in those firms. I don't know if it's relevant, but I was also a victim of that. I was trained at a Big Four firm, and I left after a year and joined eThekwini municipality, and I then went back to that firm because I was stronger.
Right.
So I think it's difficult to address, but I think what SAICA does is we have a relationship with all of the training offices, academic programs, and we have direct relationships, and we access students, for example, and trainees to have these conversations with them. So what we do is that students and trainees access SAICA and report these issues, and then SAICA investigates, and then they will report directly on that matter. I know a lot of the firms go through that process. A lot of them have to appoint, for example, transformation champions and at partner level. There's a lot of different initiatives that, unfortunately, and maybe not unfortunately, but when something gets reported in the media, nobody really follows up on what happens after that one report that hits the media. But there are processes that are in place, and I think as black people, I'm also black, by the way, as black people, we should not be scared to confront these situations when they come up. I think there's been a lot of progress since I did my training all those years ago, and certainly we should not be afraid to confront it, because there's research that says we have experienced this. We certainly have, but I think we need to be resilient and develop those other skills that we were talking about, to say it's something that will confront you, but we need to deal with it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. A round of applause. Thank you so much.